Waiting passively for potential customers to land on your hotel website so that they can see what you have to offer, but knowing that it may already be too late for you to make a difference because you are already competing with too many other competitors, hotel competitors in your area, or actively going out in search of customers, showing up in front of potential travelers way before your competitors, thus raising your chances to be chosen. And so in today's video, we're going to see together 5 ways through which you can find new potential guests for your hotel, building up advanced audiences either in Google or Facebook or both that you can use at will. These are more coming up, so let's dig in. Audience number 1, birthdays. So first, we should always try to think of the reason as to why people travel. And secondly, we should think of the reason as to why people should stay at our hotel specifically. And point being, if you find a reason, then make them. And birthdays is a valid excuse for you to make up a reason for traveling. Can one's birthday become a reason to travel? Of course it can. And thus, it becomes a reason for us hoteliers to generate more hotel revenue and some extra revenue. Facebook is definitely the go-to channel for this kind of purposes because its detailed targeting is nowhere else to be found. You can easily target people who have upcoming birthdays in 0 to 7 days or 7 to 30 days. Or even better, you can target friends of people with upcoming birthdays in 7 days or 30 days. Or again, you can target specific birthday milestone like 18th birthday or 30th or 40th or 50th. The choice is up to you and many other factors like what's your budget, how big is this audience that you want to reach out to. Depending on that, you might want to either narrow down or to broaden your options to include or to exclude more people. In this matter, and potentially, you can also use a Facebook hidden interest to reach out to specific target or specific interest and therefore to further broaden or to further narrowing down your audience. Target number 2, anniversaries. And this is pretty much similar to birthdays, what we have already seen. Wedding anniversary or any other relationship anniversary. You can target all these people in a matter of a couple of clicks. Potentially with these audiences, you can start targeting people in your own area or not too far from it, because people don't necessarily have to go overseas to celebrate a birthday or a friend's birthday or a relative's anniversary. Now, as said, reaching out to these people is relatively easy, especially using Facebook. However, it's very easy to mess up with them by showing them some offer that makes no sense. And this is the point. If you have to show up with ads or offer that are nothing but the super boring and yawning book now and save 10% or book direct and save 10% or early booking or last minute deal or whatsoever, they make no sense. What's the appealing of these so-called offers? Because to me, to be honest, they're not even offers. Specific targets, specific offers. What do you have to offer or what can you offer to people celebrating a birthday or an anniversary? Seriously, what's your catch? What can they get from you that when they see that, they just can't help but say, oh, this is interesting. Again, if you're lazy, just do yourself a favor. Be fully lazy and don't even start with such a thing. But hopefully, if you made it to this point, probably you want to go further. So let's continue with target number 3. Passers-by. Now, let me tell you a little story. Because in the last Christmas holidays, I spent a few days on travel with my mom after 2 months, actually 2 years, that we didn't see each other. But of course, consider the situation with the pandemic, especially in Europe in times like this, with ever-evolving travel restrictions, we simply couldn't plan in advance. It was literally a day-by-day planning. And so one morning, we just picked up the car and just drove. We left all the way south with a very rough idea of where we wanted to go, but with no specific indication and direction as to where we would have ended up. Restrictions, our mood, the traffic, we just said, okay, let's go. And then when we want, we stop. We look around and we book a place for the night. And that's what we did. We literally booked a hotel 30 minutes before walking in a beautiful town in the south of Italy. So why this story? Because for that place, that hotel, we were passers-by. And on Facebook, you can target passers-by, people traveling to a place, but not living in that place. This is particularly interesting also for restaurants other than hotels. So let's take my example. If another hotel in that city had reached out to me in the very moment that I was looking for hotels in that city, with, for example, a last minute deal, or even better, in that very moment I was looking for parking facilities because I was driving and I needed a place where I could safely leave my car, where probably I would have booked that hotel as opposed to the one that I ended up booking. Now let's keep digging with another targeting option that we can leverage on both Google and Facebook. People planning a trip. I mean, simple as that. Is this not what every single hotel in the world is after? Now, this is pretty much targeting people with a clear travel intention. And in the context of Google especially, a travel intention is the search query hotel plus location, destination. So hotel Bergamo, hotel Chiang Mai, hotel New York, hotel Miami, hotel whatsoever. But bidding on such keyword in the search network of Google may end up being very expensive, especially because you're not only competing with other hotels, you're also competing with the OTAs, and this is their main battlefield. So here are the two options that we have in order to target travel intentions. The first one is on Google, and it's Google custom segments. And so if you work with Google Ads, you can run, for example, some display campaign or ultimately even some discovery campaign targeting people who have visited some specific website. And in our case, some specific website can be travel website of your specific town, of your specific city. Now, I know that there are tools and service providers that claim to be able to do the same thing, which is absolutely fine. But this is an option that you could adopt yourself and set up by yourself. Google custom segments are one of these options. Now, opposite to search campaigns in Google, display and discovery are push type campaigns that are more similar to Facebook's way of doing advertising. Now, I'm not a super huge fan of display campaigns, but I have become a super huge fan of discovery campaigns because when used with Google custom segments, I've got incredibly good results, especially when targeting people on a very high stage of the funnel, meaning with the clear intention of driving traffic to the hotel's website. This is not a video on discovery campaigns on Google. I'll probably be shooting another video on that and what's the benefit of running display campaigns. The second option is Facebook Travel Ads, formerly known as Facebook Dynamic Ads for Travel, which, by the way, this is still the name that I usually refer to because I have talked about Facebook Dynamic Ads for Travel quite often, even though not much in details. And simple as that, Facebook Travel Ads help travel advertisers reach out to people planning a trip. Hardly anyone in the hotel industry works with Facebook Travel Ads. And this is just by itself a valid reason to think and consider travel ads, Facebook travel ads as an option to try to reach out to new potential customers. Fifth and last, advanced audience, people visiting your competitors' websites. Now, in the context of Google, it's always been kind of tricky trying to show up with an ad in front of people searching for a competitor's name or a competitor's brand. And by the way, this is what the OTAs do typically day in and day out. They bid for keywords that include the term hotel. But other than the power, the OTAs have an advantage. They can use any hotel name not only as a keyword, but also in the copy, meaning the headlines, the description of their ads, other than, of course, on their websites. But this is something that we hoteliers, a normal human being, cannot do. We can use a competitor's brand name as a keyword, but not in our copy, meaning we cannot mention any competitor's name in the headlines of our ads, in the description of our ads. And besides the fact that this is not a good practice, I personally don't like using competitors or bidding on competitors' name. However, in the context of Google search, a lack of matching between keywords, copy of the ad, and copy of the landing pages means only one thing: lower quality score. And lower quality score simply means lower ad rank. And if your ad rank drops, it simply means that you're going to get lower CTR, lower impression, higher cost per click, and higher cost per conversion. However, before we talk about using Google's custom segments to target people visiting specific travel website of your locality, of your destination, of your town. Following the same principle, then you can use custom segments to target specific websites of specific competitors. In other words, by doing so, you are giving Google a clear indication and clear guidelines as to what kind of website the people that you want to target to are actually looking at. To be crystal clear, by doing so, you are not retargeting on those websites. All right, that this is not possible. However, it's still a good indication, and that's exactly the target of people that you're looking for. And that was our today's last example to generate some more revenue, some more opportunities, some more business for our hotels. But as said before, the most important thing, your value proposition. Advertising doesn't solve problems that remain unsolved organically. What doesn't work organically simply doesn't work at all. So please make sure to work on your value proposition first, specific targets, specific offer, and then use advertising to amplify your reach.